When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject: Gospel of Little Judah. User: TastyLick66. Posted June 18th, 1998.
The gig wasn't even listed. Just a flyer taped to the window of a gas station outside Tupelo. It was hand-drawn with a Sharpie outline of a dove and the words, "Revival tent needs guitarist. Cash, one night only. Ask for Brother Harlan, no drunks." I was 2 days behind on rent. My van was leaking transmission fluid and I hadn't eaten since a pack of crackers in Meridian. Yeah, I asked for Brother Harlan. He was easy to spot. A thick beard, bolo tie, yellow-tinted glasses. He looked me up and down like he was scanning for demons. I told him I could play hymns, keep it mellow, and stay in the background. He asked if I believed in the Holy Spirit. I told him I believed in getting paid in cash. He didn't smile, but he nodded. "Judah's picky about energy," he said, scribbling directions on a napkin. "Don't look him in the eyes when he's in the spirit." I thought he meant Judah was the pastor, but look, I was wrong, real wrong. The tent sat on a cleared patch of red clay near the woods, just off a long dirt road where the pines leaned in too close. It was old, yellowed canvas stretched tight over iron stakes. Flies buzzed around the floodlights. There were folding chairs, a wooden pulpit, 2 plastic jugs labeled tithes, and a handmade sign that read, "No camcorders." I tuned up with the backup singers, a pair of sisters who didn't talk much and kept an eye on the crowd as they trickled in. Church ladies with paper fans, farmers in overalls, a young mother with a baby on her hip. No one under 30 except one kid sitting in the front row, legs swinging under him, chin resting on a small leather Bible. He looked about 7, maybe 8. That was Judah. Brother Harlan led the opening prayer. The sisters sang something about being washed clean. I noodled soft licks between verses, trying to stay invisible. The tent was hot, dense with sweat and sweet rot, like something was buried beneath it. And then the kid stood up. He didn't say anything at first, just walked to the pulpit, barefoot, expression blank. The crowd got real still. You could hear the bugs outside clicking like gears. Then Judah opened his mouth and spoke in a voice that didn't belong to any child. "Do not lay your treasure where the locust gathers," he said, eyes closed, chin tilted upward. "Do not build your house on memory." People started murmuring. A woman in the 3rd row began weeping. He opened his eyes and looked right at her. "Linda May," he said, "you have the letters. They're in the crawl space. Burn them. Burn the ones he signed." She collapsed, sobbing, and no one looked surprised. kept going like that. Name after name, secret after secret. A man with a bandaged hand started shaking. A girl clutched her stomach and cried out, and every time Judah just stood there, calm, detached, like a telephone operator listening in on a line from somewhere deeper. And then he turned to me. "You carry your father's sin," he said, "but it wasn't his first." I froze. The neck of the guitar felt like ice. Judah's voice dropped low. "He watched the well and didn't stop it. You dream of it still. That heavy stone, the rusted tin pail. You wake with the taste of iron." My stomach flipped. He shouldn't have known that. No one should have. I'd never told anyone about the dreams. Not even my ex. Not the shrink they sent me to that one semester after I smashed a mirror in the dorms. Judah tilted his head. "Did you think they wouldn't come looking for you?" I dropped the guitar. The strings howled as it hit the plywood. The crowd gasped. A few people stood. One of the sisters started praying in tongues. I backed away from the pulpit, heart thundering, hands shaking. Judah didn't follow. He just smiled, small, knowing. Brother Harlan appeared beside me, firm hand on my shoulder. "You all right, son?" "I'm leaving," I said. "You were chosen." That made me stop. For what? Harlan didn't answer, just turned back toward the tent. I walked fast, got back to my van, and found a Polaroid tucked under the wiper blade. It was a picture of the revival tent taken from the woods, blurry and dark, but there was something in the foreground. A shadowy figure, tall and narrow, bent at an angle no man should stand. It had fingers like branches. Its head was wrong, like a skull turned sideways. I flipped the photo over, and one word was written in red ink. Soon. I cranked the van. The engine sputtered, then caught. The dirt road felt longer going out. The trees pressed closer. I kept checking the rear view, half expecting the thing in the photo to step out of the tree line. It never did. But that night, I had the dream again. The same stone well, the same rusty bucket, but this time, I could see someone standing at the edge, looking down. A man in a bolo tie and tinted glasses, and next to him a child, barefoot, hands folded, whispering something into the dark. When I woke up, the taste of iron was in my mouth. I never went back to pick up the guitar, left it there in the tent. A couple weeks later, I saw a news clipping in a truck stop near Shreveport, local revival tent destroyed in storm. Tornado, they said. Witnesses claimed lightning struck it directly, no survivors. I tried to feel relief. I really did, but 3 nights ago, I got a letter. No return address, just a folded piece of paper and a Polaroid. The photo showed a new tent. Same shape, same canvas, same folding chairs, and sitting in the front row, legs swinging, chin on a Bible, was Judah. He hasn't aged a day.
Subject, night shift. User, stay busy 114. Posted, January 10th, 1998.
I can't tell if the dark is playing tricks on me, if it's my mind, or if maybe, just maybe, there's something really, truly out there fucking with me. People say grief does strange things, that lack of sleep warps the edges of what's real, and I've been drowning in both since the day we buried my son. He was 32, stronger than me, smarter too, and one morning his heart just stopped, like a light going out. Since the funeral, I haven't slept worth a damn. A few minutes here and there, nothing that matters. My eyes burn, my head feels full of water, and I keep moving because if I stop, if I really sit still, I'll break into pieces. That's why I took the job out here, cleaning offices at night. Not because I need the money, I don't, but because it keeps me walking, keeps my hands busy, keeps my mind half focused on something other than the silence of the house where he used to call me on weekends just to check in. These empty cubicles, glowing computer screens no one turned off, and break rooms that smell like burnt coffee have become my refuge. But the dark is different now. It's heavier, thicker, like it's waiting on me. Sometimes when I'm pushing the mop down the hallway and the fluorescent lights stutter, I see things standing just beyond the glow. Shapes, too tall, too still, blacker than the dark around them. The first few times I told myself it was the grief, or the exhaustion, or the way shadows bend when the bulbs flicker, but no matter how I explain it, I can't shake the feeling that they're not just tricks, that they're there for me, watching, patient. The worst part is they don't move. Not when I see them, not an inch. I'll glance down a corridor and swear there's one standing by the door of the men's room, head cocked like it's listening. I'll turn fully, shine my flashlight, and it's gone. Nothing there but mirrors and that sharp chemical stink of disinfectant, but my skin stays prickled, like something's breathing down my neck. One night in the mailroom, I bent to pick up a trash can and felt it behind me. No sound, no breath, just weight in the air. The sense that if I turned, I'd see something I wasn't supposed to. I froze, gripping the bin, every hair on my head standing. When I finally forced myself to spin, the room was empty, but the bulb above me buzzed and dimmed, and for a half a second, the walls seemed to ripple with black shapes pressed close. I tell myself it's the insomnia, that a man can't go weeks on end without proper rest and expect his mind to hold together, but it doesn't feel like simple hallucination. It feels deliberate. The way they always linger where the light dies out. The way they never appear in daylight. Never when I'm home, only here where the air is already hollow. It got worse after I dozed off in the supply closet. I hadn't meant to, just sat down against the shelves for a minute, mop bucket still half full beside me. Next thing I knew, my chin snapped forward and I woke with a start. The bucket had tipped, water spreading across the floor, but it wasn't just a spill. The streaks were long, deliberate, curling lines, like something had dragged a finger through it, writing symbols I don't recognize, jagged, looping, wrong. I cleaned it up quick, telling myself I'd done it in my sleep, but the whole time I felt eyes on me. When I glanced toward the doorway, I thought I saw 3 of them standing in the hall, shoulder to shoulder, filling the space, just standing. By the time I blinked, the hall was empty again. After that, I started talking to them in my head. Not out loud, not yet. Just thoughts pushed out like prayers. What do you want? Are you him? Are you my boy? I wanted so badly for it to be him. Some sign he hadn't gone completely, but if it was him, why never move? Why never show me? Why only stand there, silent, while I tore myself apart? A week ago, I saw them outside. I was wiping down desks in the executive suite, and through the glass wall, I noticed the parking lot below. The lamps cast little pools of light across the asphalt, and at the very edges of those pools, I saw them. Not one, not three, dozens, lining the edges of the lot, tall, thin, all facing the building. I rubbed my eyes. They didn't vanish. Looked again, still there, perfectly still. My chest went tight, my throat dry. I backed away from the glass, turned toward the door, and froze. They were in the room with me. 4 of them. Standing in the corners where the light didn't reach. Close, closer than they'd ever been. The air felt dense, charged like just before a thunderstorm. My legs gave out, and I dropped into one of the chairs at the long table, clutching the edge like it could keep me upright. I shut my eyes and told myself it wasn't real. But then the hum started. Low, deep, vibrating in my teeth, pushing tears out of the corners of my eyes. It wasn't words, but it was communication. Some sound meant for me. I forced my eyes open, and the room was empty again, just my reflection in the glass, pale and broken, staring back at me. I didn't finish the shift, didn't even clock out. I walked straight out the front doors, got in my car, and drove until dawn. I haven't gone back, can't. The office park is someone else's problem now, but the shadows didn't stay there. Some nights, when the house is too quiet and I'm too worn down to keep busy, I see them standing in the corners of my own rooms, still, patient, waiting. I tell myself it's the grief. I tell myself it's the lack of sleep. But another part of me knows better. That maybe my son's death cracked me wide enough to finally notice what's been here all along. That the shadows aren't tricks of the mind, that they're real, and the longer I see them, the more I wonder if they've stopped waiting.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.